A few weeks ago, Dan Henderson, a former employee of EKWB, made a number of accusations against his former employer on LinkedIn in a public post. Those accusations were followed by a video on GamersNexus, which has had many views and levels all sorts of complaints against EK. GamersNexus followed up with a second video talking about financial matters surrounding EK and their business across the world. There are a great many questions to answer, so we've travelled to Slovenia, where we're going to interview Eddie König, who is the EK of EK Waterblocks. And very shortly, he'll be sitting in this chair to answer our questions. Diving straight into the big question, Dan Henderson, a Brit working in America for EK in Slovenia. Do you still have legal threats hanging over Dan? And what was the basis for the legal letters? In other words, the NDA that he breached. What's going on there?
Okay. So yeah, really straight dive into the waters. So, but I want to say at first that EK is still alive, because many people have been asking, what's going on? Are you still alive? Yes, we're still alive. We're still kicking. We're full of innovations, full of energy, and you have to come to our Compotex booth to see what we have prepared for you.
Fair enough. Yeah. And now moving back to Dan Henderson.
Yes. Thank you. So yeah, so Daniel. So Daniel, yeah. What can I say about Daniel? He obviously didn't take the termination of his contract lightly. But I can assure you that we and his supervisor have been preparing his end of contract lightly, so he had time to prepare to find for a new job. So we still have we haven't done anything apart from sending the cease and desist letter. Okay. But basically everything depends on how things will go forward. Obviously, the reason why we have sent this cease and desist letter is because he has, not because he said it, his salary is 4 months overdue, but because it's a lie. His salary is not 4 months overdue.
But even if he was making allegations that you owed him money, would you have sent a cease and desist letter, or is there something else going on there?
Of course. So he has signed an NDA, and he knows what is a business secret and what is not. Okay. And he has openly shared business secrets and lied about the situation, which has harmed EK brand. And this is why we have sent him first personal messages. Daniel, please, let's do this between between us, between ourselves. But he didn't respond, and we had that was the escalation that we had to do.
Okay.
And this does not mean that we will proceed, but it was a message to him: please stop doing this.
Okay, I mean, quite clearly the letter was serious. There's no...
Of course. I mean, we're a serious company.
Presumably the information you're referring to was in one of those GamersNexus videos and was to do with the organization of EK across America, including your subcontractors in America.
Yeah.
So that is the information which is in GamersNexus video, and that was presumably therefore released by Henderson to GamersNexus or some other employee or former employee of EK.
So I have to say more about this. So he said that his salary is 4 months overdue. That is a lie. Really, I cannot say anything else.
Was it true when he said it?
So that's also one thing. So according to the agreement between us and him, only once his salary was late, and that was 4 days. Okay. Right? And the last salary that he was referring to, he didn't send the invoice to the right address, and so that invoice could not be processed automatically. Okay. So after we found out that we don't have his invoice in our accounting, his supervisor himself forwarded that email, that invoice to the accounting, okay. and it is being processed within a couple of days. The payment, and the payment took 2 more days to reach from the USA to his account, and everything is settled from our side. But looking from his side, he has not fulfilled all the agreement obligations.
Okay, so I'm quite sure Dan will watch this video, and no doubt he'll comment. I mean, we understand this. So in the event Dan does indeed cease and desist and doesn't divulge any further EK confidential commercial information, would we think that will be the end of the matter? You sent a cease and desist. If he does, obviously you can't take back something you've already done.
So I cannot comment this.
Okay. Legal matters.
Yeah.
Perhaps there'll be more to come on this front. Moving on, to clarify some general points about the organisation of EK, my general understanding until recently had been that you obviously founded the company. It's literally got your name over the door. You started it as a young man. You're still quite a young man, and that was about 20 years ago. Throughout the 20-year history of EK, have you been, until the 15% ownership change, you've owned 100% of the company from day one, and you still own 85%, which therefore means you are the owner?
Yes.
Apart from our man Kirsch and his 15%. However, at various times you've stepped back from essentially into an engineering role, and you've appointed various management. There was Tanko as CEO, and then there was Kirsch as CEO. That looks like a very complicated corporate history, as you have been consistently. It's not like you retired to ski. You've been here throughout. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a very good question. So I originally am an engineer. I'm solving problems for others. And when I founded the company, when I started my hobby, it was all about solving problems to myself. And I saw, okay, so I can also solve problems to others, and they are happy, and I can also make a living out of it. It's a dream come true, right? So obviously I have grown a lot from the engineer by my personality to leader. But at that point in 2013, I figure out company is growing. I won't have time for my heart, for the products, for the design. And I said, let's leave professional stuff to the professionals. So that's why Tanko came in, and he's been with us 4 years-ish, yeah. But we found out, and us, and he also said that our looking at the future, the way we're looking at the future parted the view, and it was at such a level that basically I and Matjaž at that point have decided that this is not the way that we want to pursue. And that's why at that point we did not have anyone else to be appointed as a CEO, and I jumped in. So I was 2017 again CEO.
Would it be fair to characterize when Tanko departed, he went to Corsair?
Yeah, that was after we said thank you for your services.
Fine. So we're going with thank you for your services rather than fired or terminated, because I read, I think it was a Tech Power Up piece that referred to you.
Of course.
Purging the leadership was the term they used, which seemed a bit dramatic. So was it friendly, or was it, no, I have to take back leadership of EK and you guys have to go?
So the situation at that time in the company was pretty intense. And I don't want to comment anything further, but it had to be taken back the way owners can do this.
Okay, because you are the 100% owner of EK. And while you were retaking control from that leadership at that time, Kirsch was still around the company. He's been around the company since day one, right? He was your. I've heard him described as your business guru. That might be an incorrect term.
Yeah, that's a funny, yeah.
Okay, if we take that as a characterization. So he was around. So when you cleared out the leadership at the time and took over control again for the 2-year period, Kirsch was around, but you decided, no, you were the man for the job.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, you decided you preferred engineering to leadership.
So we, at 2017, I also spoke to Matjaž and also to others what to do, who to appoint. But at the time, because I said it was the situation in the company, it was intense. So I had to take over the leadership because I know and I saw that people followed me.
Okay. Now,
So 2019?
Yes.
So 2019, we again spoke with Matjaž. We talked about it, what would be the best course of action for the future. Excuse me. And we found that I would be, again, going back to the things I love the most, right? And he would take care of the managing the company.
And you seem to have had quite an emphasis on expanding the size of EK, because you went from being a one-person company to, in the early days, you had less than 20 people, and then you expanded to something more like approximately 200 people. I don't know what is the headcount approximately today?
Today, around 160.
Okay.
Yeah.
At what point did you expand into the USA as a separate company? I presume you've been shipping products to the USA for a very long time, but when did EK Cooling Solutions or some other entity, when was that under your direct leadership or one of the other CEOs?
I think it was 2018-ish or 2017. I think it all went naturally. USA is our biggest market, and we wanted to serve our biggest market closer. We want to be closer. So that's why we opened there a company. Firstly, to support the local, basically the local market, right? Huge market, right? Yeah. And then we, of course, looking what could we add to our water cooling portfolio that others don't, because we were talking with the SIs that what can they do. We were proposing them with different things, different ways of having fully liquid cooled computers. Sure. And it just didn't add up the way we think. We saw that potential was a lot bigger. So at 2018, I think we started with the first line of fluid gaming PCs. Right. And so that was basically from that point, the biggest focus for our USA operations. Okay. To serve customers with fully liquid cooled computers.
And at this stage, was Kat Silberstein in the company or connected to the company, or was she the CEO of the American company at that point?
So Kat, first when we opened it, Kat was not the CEO. But after we were looking how to expand, how to take advantage of such a awesome market. Kat also joined us.
And when you opened EK Cooling Solutions or your American operations, is that wholly owned by
Yes.
EK? So you are the owner of anything that says EK.
Yes.
You are the ultimate guy.
That's a good statement. Yeah, basically everything that is EK, that his EK is owned by EKWB. This means me being 85%, Matjaž 15%.
And as we know, GamersNexus made quite a big deal about this $5 million loan, which would appear to be from Eddie's right-hand pocket to Eddie's left-hand pocket. Presumably that money is to set up operations in America and to finance American operations. I believe EK has an annual turnover in the order of 10 million euros, dollars, something of that. And you're a manufacturing company, so clearly you have overheads. It's not advertising. So $5 million, and that's one line item. Presumably there are others. That is a significant percentage of your annual turnover, and presumably it's your annual profit or even 2 years of profit. That looks like a huge sum of money.
Yeah. So
what happened there?
Yeah. So let me first correct you. So during the COVID times, EK had 50 million euro revenue.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So 5 million is significant.
not it's a significant amount of money. It's huge amount of money. I'd love to have this right now in my pocket, but I don't. And we have invested this money throughout the years to develop the USA market with the fully liquid cooled gaming computers, and now, which is basically the biggest selling product, are fluid gaming, fluid works. So fully liquid cooled workstations with up to 7 GPUs.
Yes, and I've seen those systems at previous shows.
So maybe going back to those 5 million, right?
Yes.
So we have been investing in the operations, and it's not true that we have. So there was a statement that EKCS was doing work for the headquarters without being paid. Basically, it was the other way around. Headquarters team, which was in the biggest, with the biggest expansion of 250 people, were doing a lot of things for the USA operations, and investing, and them saying that we have been depleting the company. It's not true.
Okay. Oh, clearly, I can't interrogate you on the specifics, but I understand you're pushing back against the point. Yeah. In that case, it sounds as though the American operation was a money pit. It was a black hole. You seem to have put a huge amount of money and resources into it, and as you had to shutter the operation and use a subcontractor, is the word disaster too strong, or have I got the wrong end of...
So that the biggest investment in EKCS was done when Matjaž was leading the company, and it definitely wasn't under control. So this was one of the main reasons why I stepped in back.
You made a statement, and I'm going to quote: "The new management, distances itself from the practices of the past, presumably Kirsch." Fair enough, but there is the fact, isn't there, which is that throughout you have been, it's your name, it's you, all these different...
I'm EK, we're EK.
Okay. You will understand I'm European, we're in Europe, however, the American operations have clearly been a big focus of the GamersNexus video for understandable reasons. Without wishing to point fingers, any ongoing potential problems to do with labour laws, the way staff have been treated, wages, whatever might come out of it, taxes, is that in the hands of Kat Silverstein, as it's her title, she's CEO Americas, or is that being handled by you and your people here?
So everything, as you said, it's EK, and I cannot leave because there is also my name, right? We're not letting the USA operations themselves. We're in this together, and we're solving this together. And maybe we can touch now the allegations that were on the USA operations, right? So the first thing is that we did not close the USA operations. We just optimized it. We just restructured it, right? So in the Texas we had huge operation. I mean, huge from the square foot size, right? And we couldn't stop the lease, end the lease sooner, so we had to prolong it. But when the lease stopped, it was the right time to do the optimization, and we used our trusted, good business partner to do some part of it for us.
There's obviously been a suggestion, and it's no more than a suggestion, that one of those two people being SwiftTech, being of course Kat Silverstein's former employer, arguably she's working with friends. Arguably there might be something shady going on there. I have no knowledge of that. On the face of it, if you shutter your operations and you subcontract, going to one of very few companies who can handle that work makes sense. SwiftTech seems like a perfectly reasonable choice. But the timing, you're saying, is down to the lease on your premises and therefore the move from one state in America to a different state in America and not using your own employees but using a subcontractor wholly. Is that approximately correct?
Approximately. But let me add more things about this. So it's being, when I spoke to the US people, I started to understand why they are so jumped when they heard we didn't pay overtime, right? And that we didn't had a good work environment. So based on the overtimes, this is I have asked for extensive report, and the report I got is that there were people who had from 10 to 30% overtime throughout the whole year, on average, right? That is one thing.
And were paid for that?
Those were paid.
Okay.
Yeah, that were paid. And we specifically opened a dedicated channel, email, to address this. So anybody who has open claim for the overtimes, contact us. In 3 weeks, none of them came.
Oh, okay. In that case, would you please repeat the email address if you can remember it? And so far you have had no response to that, and that's some 3 weeks or so late.
It's reachout@ekwb.com. It's also in our PR. So, no.
And without wishing to be facetious, because this is quite serious, you've checked your junk folder. These emails, no one sent emails. If anybody comments below this to say I've sent email and you're saying they haven't, then okay, fine.
The email goes to number of staff, so we have not missed anything.
Fine.
If we have missed whatever, if it has been rejected or whatever, I think there are many ways that people can contact us.
Indeed so, but the fact you're stating, because I was aware you'd done the reach out, but if you're saying after 3 or so weeks you've had no, it's a revelation.
Exactly.
So thank you.
For the work environment, we had their local American COO, let me say, chief of operations, and he was the one who would need to take care of this. And the photos that was there, they look strange, right? So if anything would have been reported, we would take actions.
Okay, but in addition to that, America has their own health and safety people. I believe it's OSHA. Yeah. So therefore, presumably, if there are allegations made by employees in an American state, the system will proceed. There have been allegations about EK's treatment of staff. As we know, they fall into 2 camps. There's the European attitude to Americans, supposedly, and then there's also been an allegation of racism. A guy has come forward to GamersNexus, naming himself as Jamari, and stating that he is the only black American employee at EKCS, EK Cooling Solutions. So he therefore concludes it was him. I don't know, Jamari, you do. What's the situation there?
So as far as I know, and as far as I met Jamari, he's a wonderful guy. We had fun. And what I can say is that if that happened, we were not aware of it. And I want to say that EK supports diversity, supports inclusion, and does not support any kind of discrimination, any kind. And if anything is reported, we take this seriously. So nothing, there is no way leadership would support this, and we would take actions. So anything that is reported, we take immediate actions.
And the screenshots that we saw in the GamersNexus video, which were, I'm assuming, taken by Dan Henderson, but don't know that for an absolute fact, so it's some form of internal company conversation. Screenshots, unless they're manufactured, don't lie. So words were used. What action have you taken?
So first of all, I want to say that this was a product-related thing. And when we saw this, when this was reported, and this case was reported, we take we take all the actions according to our procedures. So they got an oral reminder, that's not right, don't do it again. And it hasn't happened after that.
Okay, I think it's fair to say that there were some general statements made about treatment of staff which appeared to break down into the Americans were saying the Slovenians thought little of them, and then there was that specific thing with Jamari as the black American. Those two things have a slight divide. Is there a cultural issue between the Europeans and the Americans?
You understand the cultural difference between Europe and America, right?
I'd like to hear your take on it, though.
So, but I think we went too deep into this because there was no intentions of doing anything, and it also was not reported from his side. So neither me, neither Kat knew about this, and if we knew, or anybody who knew, would be in the leading, would have taken actions.
So until the GamersNexus video dropped, that was the first you'd heard. Okay.
About the situation in America.
Okay. I think a big question to wrap up would be, what changes do you feel you need to make at EK in Europe, in America, wherever, and what would the time frame be for those changes?
Okay, so I would split this into two phases. The first phase is basically what we have already done. So the first step that I've done is to change the management and step in as a CEO. That was the first one. So the second thing it was to we made an analysis. What did we do wrong? And one of them was we were just focused on too many things. The other thing is that the management thought that this growth is going to last forever.
In this context, the management was Kirsch.
Yes.
In the COVID era.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and didn't take the necessary precautions to mitigate this, right? So that's the one thing. So, and he wanted to grow from the own capital, and it didn't work out well when the demand started to go down, right? And because of that, the total operation size was just too big. Okay. So that's the first phase, right? So, and when I stepped in, there's the first thing that I did is to change the focuses. I said we're going back to the roots. Okay. We're not going to aim for a super fast growth. We are here for the controlled, steady growth.
Does that manifest itself, say, as cutting your portfolio of products, which has been commented, and we all know you have a huge array? Okay,
that's a part of it, yeah, definitely. But we also had many projects that were not launched, and they didn't bring money. Right. So this is also one thing that we did. We stopped the expenses on the project that doesn't bring money.
I mean, two projects that come to mind. You had Loop Connect, which we know was something you were attempting to do, an RGB fan controller.
Yeah, and that's a small thing.
And then a project that I saw at a couple of shows that just mystified me was a water-cooled PlayStation 5, which, nice enough, but has to take time, money and resources. And to me, it was indicative of the focus being lost.
Not at all. It's we're solving problems for the customers, and PlayStation has one of the challenges with the being loud, right? So it was just one tiny project. That project is peanuts of what we have been investing during previous times.
Okay. And in terms of changes that you're going to make, other than keeping an eye on your product portfolio in the Computex is imminent, and then we head towards the end of the year. Are you going to make any further public statements about any company changes or allegations made, things that you've found? Because there's a report to your email address that you say has been unused. So there's kind of two stories. People appear to be complaining to GamersNexus, but not to you. If people don't complain to you, you can't fix things.
Exactly. So I urge everybody to contact me, contact us, and we'll solve it if there is anything open. If somebody thinks that they have something open, contact us. And we will do this as we're doing with everything else that is maybe open and needs solving.
I think that concludes our interview with Eddie König of EKWB here in Slovenia. It's fair to say that there is scope for a further video. No doubt there'll be a response to this video by people who have raised allegations with GamersNexus and in other forums. Hopefully they will also get in touch with Eddie himself. He's asked for this many times on this very video. So I can only say, watch this space.